Quite a colorful.
Joseph's mother, she was quite my favorite wife. I never really loved another all my life. And Joseph was my Joey because he reminded me of her.
Through young Joseph, Jacob lived his youth.
Again,
Loved him, praised him, gave him all he had, but then it made the rest feel second best. And even if we were being told we're also Wrens, does not make us Joseph fans. But where they have really missed the boat is where...
Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the AT&T MLS studios in Midtown Manhattan. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Matt Doyle, Susannah Collins, and wearing his Technicolor flannel, David Goss.
You guys, what colors do you think this is? It might be red and yellow and green
and brown and scarlet
stop
don't
it.
get
Oh
me
my
started.
God. We were singing, which if you are watching the YouTube version, Broadway songs, and by we, I mean these three. We have a very colorful left side. Nobody's wearing navy, yellow, and red today, right? No? The Chicago Fire FC have a new crest and a new brand? Is that how you... A new look?
It's a rebranding,
It's a
right?
rebrand.
Yeah, it's a rebranding. We'll talk about that. We'll talk
It's a rebranding, but you don't call it a brand.
Okay, gotcha. We'll talk about MLS against Liga MX in the 2020 All-Star Game, which is a great decision after Diego Simeone, kind of broke me of the European team matchups. Just kind of over for me. So this is great. And the expansion draft and all the trades that are going around in today's roster decision day. So if you hear somebody squeal or yell or jump up from the desk and run around, it's because more and more options have been declined, and maybe somebody like, Luis Robles, or BWP aren't coming back to their team.
I refuse to be on Twitter during this, so I am waiting every moment, refreshing the MLSsoccer.com page till Ben Bear updates every single one of these rostered players. So, Ben, the LA Galaxy already announced theirs. It's not in here.
Let's go. Come on.
Galaxy
This is why he's not an extra time anymore.
Jorgen Skjelvik is
Leave
back.
Ben alone.
Okay. Let's do it. We have a good mail, too, so look forward to that. Chicago Fire are still the Chicago Fire. They're just Chicago Fire FC. This was kind of known. We asked Joe Mansueto, the new owner, about this, and he said, hey, I like the name. Clearly, they liked it enough to keep it, Susannah, but they have changed things up a little bit. I sort of teased the navy, yellow, and red look. You can see this at ChicagoFireFC.com or MLSsoccer.com or on Twitter or on Reddit or wherever people are both simultaneously saying, I kind of like it, or I don't really care, or I hate it. It's run the gamut of emotions. Emotionally, where do you stand on CFFC and this new colorway and this new crest that will accompany them into Soldier Field?
Yeah, I knew you were coming straight to me for this one.
Hey, by the way, that Dax McCarty bobblehead, obsolete in every possible way now.
I put him on blast at expansion draft and said, okay, so you gave me your bobblehead, but now I need a new one with the Nashville SC. And so I everybody there was witness. I was like,
Right.
I get the first one.
You
and
owe
he
me.
promised.
It occurs to me also
So
that
it's on the record, Dax.
that the Chicago Fire of old basically just sent us their trash.
Well,
basically, this,
We got to get rid of all this
So
old logo.
basically-
what are we going to do with this?
because
We'll
I'm
just send it to extra time.
I am still
Hey,
salty.
that's literally what we've been asking for.
No,
today.
I am.
True.
I am literally still salty about the whole bobblehead gate thing. So I'm in my head. I'm thinking that maybe they were just saving it for the rebrand. They were like,
you're
well,
gonna
we're
get
going
the
to get
first
Susannah the
rebrand.
freshies.
Got you.
I'm getting the freshies. I just saw something on Twitter though that made me laugh so hard because my initial reaction when I saw this, I was like, oh, good, kind of looks like RSL. And somebody on Twitter was like, Real Lake Michigan, and I was like,
Oh, no.
there it is.
There is a little bit. It comes.
Yeah,
It can look a little purpley,
So okay,
but in practice, I like it more.
I want to say I am very happy that they kept Chicago Fire as the name because I just think it's a cool name. So having said that, I just think it could have been a little cooler. I think this was like a good starting off point for the creative process, but it feels like there's just something there's something missing. Like the font, I don't love the font. It's just, I get like you're trying to be cool and simple, but it's just a little too simple for me. I feel like they could have They could have jacked it up a little.
It
I
is
don't
minimal.
know.
It is
it's
minimal.
very minimal.
It's very minimal. It's all about the angles. When I
Seems
saw
to be indicating they'll be playing a WM formation.
that's a throwback. Jonathan Wilson over here.
Herbert Chapman? Is he the new manager?
Yeah,
Wow.
Pretty good.
Hold that one out.
So I saw all the leaks, and when I saw the leaks and like the blurry image leak,
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah, that doesn't help you sort of be engendered to it, but I
No.
do now like it more than I did before, and I really like the colors.
It could grow. It's one of those things where I feel like it could grow on me eventually. I love the old badge. I'm a homer in that sense.
Yeah.
I don't like change. I'm really an old man. But I think that this could perhaps grow on me with time. But I loved the fire badge. I thought it was so cool.
Or maybe
I
more
don't know.
aptly, it might grow on you and others with wins. Like if they weren't not making
winning
the playoffs,
does seem
if
to cure a whole lot.
ditching all their DPs, which they should probably replace. Maybe want to get a sporting director,
Yeah.
technical director. I mean, there's a lot of potential going into Soldier Field. Now it is on Nelson Rodriguez and Joe Mansueto and whoever is the manager and the roster to actually make that potential.
Yeah, I don't remember-
like, bloom and come to reality.
I don't remember people immediately loving Sporting KC's rebrand.
No, they didn't like
or
it at all.
badge.
No.
And don't find a lot of people
there-
complaining
Sporting
about
way.
the
Yeah.
Sporting way.
Yeah.
So like that. I mean, that is the blueprint. Whatever the badge is, the blueprint is go out there and compete and win the occasional trophy.
Yeah, look, if Chicharito's wearing this badge, it looks better, right? Like
Or
just by
Lewandowski,
association. Lewandowski, yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
that. But he's not one of
Yes,
the best top
please.
strikers in the world anymore.
No,
Yes,
apparently,
please.
according to our friends
ESPN FC
at
told me
ESPN,
that.
yeah.
So,
But I
Actually
just
is, by the way, on that list.
oh, is he?
Yeah, I don't know.
they broke it down really weirdly. It's not worth talking about, to be honest with you. Like I do want to say I like the colors of the badge is distinct. You have to give this to the Fire, like whether you like the old one more or not. It's distinct. Like it pops compared to most MLS badges. The only like real gripe I have with it is the change from SC to FC. I like Chicago Fire Soccer Club rather than football club.
Yeah, but
I get it.
There's a large ecosystem of Euro snobs who, sort of forage in Rome around Soldier Field and the lake over there. So you wanted to appeal to them, maybe?
Most of them are probably wearing free extra time T-shirts that we threw at them from outside.
Oh.
You know what?
Soldier
Actually,
Field.
I have figured out the FC, which I don't really care about. I know people get wrapped up in that stuff, but like, who really cares? When Bob Bradley was your first coach, you're contractually obligated
Find the football.
to always call it football. It's no longer soccer. It's always football. Look, we'll see. It's a crest. It's a badge. It matters more to the supporters of that club than anybody else. So whatever they think probably goes, and how they do this offseason and into next season is going to matter.
Send us
an awful
some
lot.
gear. We'll try it out.
Yes.
See how it,
We'll put it on the table
put it
with
on
our
the
obsolete
table,
bobbleheads.
Warm up to it,
Yeah.
Vancouver
saying.
Whitecaps think that the three spikes
yeah.
in the
Where have we seen
Fire
this before?
looks very similar to three mountains facing up and down in Vancouver.
Interesting. Not completely wrong. Hey, by the way, there were some Garth Lagerwey rumors going around that he was going to go to the Chicago Fire and head up their soccer operations and maybe more.
He's from Elmhurst.
Yes, he
He
is.
went to York High School, which was one of my rival high schools, and we had a very
them.
long chat. Had a very long
what's
chat.
What's their mascot?
Oh God, what was York? It was
What
some
was
sort
you?
of like we were the Trojans.
Let's go Trojans!
Trojans, Downers Grove, no Trojans. And I had my best game of my life in basketball against York.
Take that,
So
Garth.
I told him
How
that.
do you like that, Garth?
I don't think it mattered very much to him, but he is a Chicago guy.
Yeah. Anyway, Garth said
While
to
he was
Grant
winning his
Wall
third MLS Cup.
that he would like to have he would like to run an entire club, basically, is what he told Grant Wall. And he said in his final press conference of the season with the Sounders, yeah, that remains the same, but, quote, it would be unethical and irresponsible to say anything to further speculation on that front being the Fire front. Nelson is a good person, Nelson Rodriguez. He does a great job there. That's his thing. I don't know, something to watch with the Fire. We got to see who's going to take over the soccer side.
As a neutral who likes Major League Soccer, I would like to see that happen because Garth has proven that he can create successful teams
Here
first.
for it. Here
and
for
as
it.
you said, winning is number one. And then two, I think he's shown that he can step up every level he's gone. We saw Tim Bezbachenko get the opportunity last year, going to Columbus to take over both soccer and business side. So when I heard the rumor, it was exciting because Seattle's one of the most established clubs in MLS.
There is the perception that they could survive this and keep chugging
Exactly.
along.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas the Fire,
We need a little bit more from the
Yeah.
Chicago Fire. He seems like the type of guy who can.
So the hot take hotline is 401-206-0MLS. Feel free to send us your takes on that one. Also, that doubles as a Venmo account for Dave's impending tampering charges. So,
Sorry, come arrest me while I'm in Vietnam. I dare you to find me.
Wow.
Off the grid, baby.
MLS's extradition policy, we'll have to look into that. Let's talk All-Star Game before we get to the bevy of moves, the
Who's
expansion
number
draft.
1 in the extradition ranking order? Like,
That's a good question. I don't know.
does that go to the FC Cincinnati for finishing last, or does one of the expansion teams get it?
Let us know what you think. Hot take hotline.
Buried
is,
that joke.
Certainly
Eat that one
open
into the
there.
Probably Chivas USA number 1.
MLS against Liga MX. It is the format that we have been waiting for, I think, for a long time. On this show, you've heard us talk about it for the better part of, I think, about 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah? So
Forever.
it's happening. Bank of California Stadium, July 29th in 2020, Liga MX. Their All-Stars against the MLS All-Stars. And what I want from this game, I don't know if we're allowed to say this, I want FU energy from both sides. And I saw...
FUN energy.
Oh,
That too.
Yeah.
That too. So, like, I want...
FUN
way to keep it
energy.
PG.
yeah, good job. I want, like, bunny hops and step overs and no midfield play.
Well,
And
it'll be Liga
like,
MX, so there will be
right.
no midfield.
So
Don't
volley
worry. There'll be a
attempts from
pickup basketball
everywhere, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And then Enrique Bonilla, the president of Liga MX, came out and said, "We're coming to win. We're going to ruin their 25th anniversary celebration."
This was at the press conference,
Right.
standing with Major League Soccer announcing this. So.
With Commissioner Don Garber announcing that, saying, "Yo, I'm coming for you. I want you. We're going to take it from you." APG, Memo, maybe Giovanni Dos Santos, maybe more. There's the star power in Liga MX is not as, I don't know. Am I wrong about this? They don't
I
have-
guess you could say some of the biggest names have left recently. The teams are
Could say that about
obviously
MLS
still as good.
too, with Rooney and Zlatan and Schweinsteiger gone too.
Yeah, but they've brought back a few Mexican national team players, so now you have like Salcedo
Yeah.
come back last year and guys like that. So yeah, I don't
Can I still call it Liga MX? Is that still allowed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went back and forth between the two and felt bad about it.
I know. I just I've been hearing both, and I'm like, have
Yeah,
I
go Liga
messed
MX.
this up forever?
No, we'll make an
Next.
executive decision on that.
Okay.
Any feelings about this?
It's awesome.
game?
This
Yeah.
is exactly what the All-Star game needed because
You know what the All-Star game didn't need? Games against like the two most notoriously suffocating defensive teams
Yeah.
in the world each of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Atletico
you guys
Madrid
will
and
show up for
Juventus.
fun.
Well, that's why I said Diego Simeone broke this format. Like
Yeah.
he was officially the end of it, where it's like, come and break us down. I have my blocks of 4 ready for you, MLS All Stars.
No, this is amazing, especially the fact that it's going to be in Los Angeles.
Yes.
It's going to be a massive, massive, massive turnout. It's just like
Suze needs those points.
I need more Delta points to secure platinum status for 2021.
And it's
Thank
going to be huge for both, right? For Liga MX,
Yes.
it's going to change. It's a moment for them to be noticed around the world, to be a part of. We saw what the Skills Challenge did this year. Like it's going to.
Great skills challenge drop. I
Yeah,
love it.
thanks.
Yeah.
Was there a sponsor that I forgot?
No, but
Okay.
maybe. We'll figure that out. Honestly,
Potentially in
in
the
my ear,
future.
let me know.
Maybe Delta. Who knows? So just can get those extra points. It's going to be something that everyone around the world is going to notice because this doesn't happen. All-star teams between two leagues. Obviously, it happens in American sports, but this doesn't happen either. So this is something unique that's going to kind of give it the bump that it needs to make it a big deal in Bank of California.
Would you watch a
Stadium.
Canadian Football League versus NFL All-Star game?
No, because I wouldn't watch an NFL All-Star game no matter what. But I would watch a FIBA
Yes.
Euros team versus
Versus
NBA
NBA,
team.
yeah.
I'm here for that.
By the
I
way,
think baseball does something in Japan.
It is the skills challenge presented by Target. And as a
Boom.
noted
Oh, I should have known that.
as a noted supporter of
That's
Target historically.
I failed.
I'm
I
here for
really,
that
I
as
really
well.
dropped the
So
ball.
as your punishment, no Cheez-Its for 3 months.
What? No.
That works better on Kalen. I just want to put that out there. So I wrote this, and I think you have to be sort of head buried in the sand and not figure this out. Like, these two leagues are hermanos now. They're brothers, and they are building together, and this is just yet another piece of that build. Like, the MLS calendar, the Liga MX calendar, the North American soccer calendar is now just littered with head-to-head or sort of like partnership opportunities between these two leagues, whether it be CONCACAF Champions League, which we know is basically in the knockout phase, and into the championship, mostly in MLS against Liga MX competition, Leagues Cup, Campeones Cup, the All-Star game now. Like, they're only getting closer. They're only saying that our futures are tethered to each other. We are woven together, and that is what we want because we think it will rise the tide on both ships. If we ever get, I don't know, I'll ask for permission. I have a little bit of a fantasy about the melding of the two leagues, but it has pro rel in it and some other things.
Lord.
So I don't know if I should talk about it all that much.
You went there.
But maybe look out for that when we
Open
get
floor,
really
Andrew.
Anders, pull the plug.
when we get really bored
La, 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 la.
in December when there is no soccer and fewer signings to talk about. This is awesome. It's great. The parties are going to be great. Can I also say that? What? You said you were talking about the NBA. That's like part of NBA All-Star Week is that everybody shows up and it's CNBC and it's the parties. All-Star games are about parties.
Can we throw an extra time party? I'm
Now
just throwing
that's
it
an
out
idea.
there. I'm just
that's an idea.
I'm just putting
Parties
it out there.
driven by Continental.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Why not?
Tell us how we should do it. Extra time at MLSsoccer.com. Give us an idea that Continental absolutely cannot refuse.
A Jorge Campos themed all-star party.
I was
where
going to say
everyone has to
a
wear
Broadway
California
musical
jersey.
themed extra time
Well,
party.
Now
Dress
we're
up as your
talking,
favorite
guess
Doyle.
that means
character.
it's time to change the subject. The expansion draft went down on Tuesday. 10 players selected by Inter Miami and Nashville SC. Susannah, you were in Nashville, so we'll get the feel there. In case you missed this thing, Inter Miami selected Ben Sweat from NYCFC, veteran left back. Alvis Powell from FC Cincinnati, a semi-veteran right back, still just 25. Lee Wynn, definitely a veteran from LAFC, on a max deal as well. Luis Argudo from the Crew, and Brian Meredith, a backup goalkeeper from Seattle. They also
Shout out
acquired
Scotch Plains.
150K. They acquired the number 3 pick in the Super Draft. They now have 1 and 3 in 2020 for 150K in GAM from Cincinnati. And Jorge Mas told us that their manager hiring is basically done, that he's waiting in the shadows, that he had input on the expansion draft itself, and the announcement is coming, which is one step further from what Paul McDonough said
What
when he was
type of
on this show.
manager is almost about to have big games and maybe couldn't announce a new signing, but will be available like in a week?
I don't know. I think we've talked about
Jose
him over and
Mourinho?
over.
Woo!
Oh, boy.
Also, I think you just called him Jose Mourinho.
I know.
Yeah.
Did he
I
play
thought
forward for DC
Mourinho.
United for a number of years?
I thought that was
Working
intentional.
through this hangover, man. It's tough.
Doyle, let's get that brain rolling right now.
I don't know that we should start.
We're going to. Marcelo Gallardo.
Oh, yeah.
If
Oh,
that is
that guy.
indeed the next first manager of Inter Miami CF, what does it mean for that club? What does it mean for MLS? Help people that maybe haven't been paying attention to Copa Libertadores, who haven't, weren't big DC United fans in the Hamdi Salihi era, understand what Marcelo Gallardo means.
That was a tight reference.
You like that one?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That was good.
It's in the same mold of what Atlanta did when they got Tata Martino, what LA did last year when they got Guillermo Barros Schelotto, or what San Jose did when they got Matias Almeida. In that Gallardo is a coach who has credibility, especially in Latin America, with the very best players in the world. If you're Miami and you have Gallardo on your team, is managing your team, you can walk into any room of, talk to any agent of any player and be like, this is who we are. And that's instant credibility. And then you have that credibility because his teams play beautiful, winning soccer. River Plate, since he's been there, they have won more international tournaments in his 5 years than they had in their previous 100 years. And this is one of the best teams in the world, one of the great clubs in world history. They are going for their third Copa Libertadores title in 5 years this weekend. I don't think they're going to win. I think Flamengo's a wagon. But they have a chance, and in large part, it's because he's such an amazing tournament manager. I would think, at this point, Gallardo would be the Argentinian FA would be like, we have to get him. So that's who you're competing with for this man's signature. Pep was just talking about Gallardo last week when he was asked, who are some of the best coaches in the world that you pay attention to? And, Gallardo was on that list. Barcelona fans are talking about, if we get rid of Valverde, we want Marcelo Gallardo. There is that sentiment out there. It's a big move. It's an incredible move. It's also not done yet. There's a chance we're talking about the completely wrong guy. We don't think we are. But if you Schelotto went from Boca Juniors to the LA Galaxy. Almeida went from Chivas, Guadalajara to San Jose Earthquakes. So Miami, getting Gallardo from River Plate, it does fit. It's not impossible anymore. And it would say a lot about, like, he's the best manager in the Americas. Like, Gallardo's the best manager in the Americas. And it would say a lot about Miami's ambition as a club and where MLS is as a league if the man comes in and from day one, this is his team.
So I was just going to say, when I think of Gallardo, and Doyle mentioned it, winning is number one. Like, just pure success, not a specific style or a way of playing. And I think one of the great things for Tata Martino when he came into Atlanta, why can't I remember
Yeah, I was
that?
going to say, what?
I was thinking Mexico all of a sudden, was everything Doyle said about credibility, I think about culture, about the idea that we will win, but also not being dogmatic about how he plays in a style with expansion where you kind of, while you planned as much as you can, it's coming together as it's happening. And you can't, I think Almeida would have trouble with an expansion team because you'd come in and say, this is the only way we play soccer. Everyone has to be on the same page. We have to work at this time after time while guys are coming in late in the preseason. Guys are going to be coming in next summer. You have pieces that aren't maybe the guys you're going to want to, double down on in 2 years. So I think Gallardo's a good piece here in that he doesn't need to play a certain way. He'll have the respect of big players who will play hard for him, and he will put his team out in whatever way they need to be put out based on the talent he has available next year, but also the year after and the year after that. And I think that's where, to me, this is a perfect signing in every way on top of, the fact
If
that he
he's
wins
the signing.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
know.
saying. So please, Inter Miami. Please,
Do us a
please,
solid.
please, yes. Make him the signing just because I'm dreaming it and wanting it, but also because we just used about 5 minutes talking about it. What'd you think of their draft picks, Susannah? Ben Sweat, Alves Powell, Lee Wynn, Luis Argudo, and Brian Meredith. Who stands out to you among those guys?
Well, Lee Wynn was one of those names that was on the unprotected list that I just had a feeling somebody was going to snatch him up because I think he is a valuable guy. You get a bit of that veteran presence on there. He did really well when he had to come in for Mark Anthony Kaye for LAFC. He's a guy that can fill a lot of roles and do it very competently. So,
he's a former MVP candidate.
Exactly. So it's like
that's
there is
one.
Upside,
yeah.
Ben Sweat was another one. I mean, anytime you can, shore up your back line. Like I think like both teams kind of looked defensively at the expansion draft, and
Outside
I thought that was
backs.
very smart. So yeah, and interesting that they intend to keep these guys. There was no, like we had a bunch of trades in Nashville that was going on that I was trying to keep on top of. It got a little crazy, but yeah, I look at this and I think, yeah, all right, solid.
I liked the plan of who they took, as you said, fullbacks and a goalkeeper. I don't know that I agree with the people they chose to go about with that, but yeah.
Alves Powell's an interesting one for sure because last year
he got booed, by the way, in Nashville. I don't know if they were just booing everything Cincinnati, like anything
they hate
Cincinnati
Cincinnati.
did. But yeah, it was really funny.
Wow.
Yeah. They were like, Alves Powell, and it was like the whole crowd was like,
What?
bah!
I mean, it wasn't like he was like some
I know,
formational.
that's why
He
it
had
made me
10
laugh.
He had 10 starts last year.
Totally made me laugh.
Yeah, right now Elvis Powell's not very good at soccer.
Yeah, I
So-
mean that's an interesting one. But look, Paul
Questionable
McDonough.
move. From
Paul McDonough's built some good rosters, so for the time being, maybe I don't know about that one, but we shall see with the rest of these. Who do we think is going to be the big name signing? Is there going to be a big name signing? We kind of glossed over that when we
For
talked
Nashville
to
or
Paul.
Miami?
For Miami.
For Miami. I mean, Cavani is the name that I've heard, but like if you go over the past year, every big name Latin American player has been rumored at one point, whether it's Suarez, Messi, Cavani. Well, David Silva's not Latin American, but like I've heard his name mentioned as well. Then there are younger guys. I think Palacios is the most expensive or highest rated young player in the Argentinian league. He's been rumored there as well. You just go on the list. If I were a betting man right now, I'd say Cavani. I know there's been rumors with him to the Galaxy.
That seemed to have gotten shut down.
Yeah. So I think that I think he's where the smart money is, but the actual smart money is like one guy like that, and then I think another younger guy like
another Carranza.
Pavone style, or even younger, like a Carranza or Pellegrini style guy.
Okay.
Over under 500.5 goals that Cavani scores if he comes to Major League Soccer.
I think I'll take the under.
Are you a big Cavani guy?
I think I'm obsessed with Cavani.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think if he didn't get hurt, they would have beaten France in the World Cup in 2018 because he was in unreal form. But when you look at a guy, so I said this with Zlatan, right? Like his size was something that whether Zlatan was fit or whatever, like he was always a factor in the box. Cavani has that, but he also moves so well around the field. He can create for guys. And I think with Aguero and Lewandowski, he's one of the 3 cleanest finishers in the world. So he'll pour in goals in Major League
he
Soccer.
went through that. He went through that like 6-month stretch where he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah, with PSG, but Napoli before and then now PSG after. He's been unreal.
Okay, so we think Miami is definitely going to go flash, as you've kind of heard us go here. Nashville SC is more substance. I don't want to say gritty, but
Meat and potatoes?
Meat and potatoes. A little bit more, MLS experience. We're going to get some players who have green cards because we traded away 2 international spots. So we want guys who have done it in this league as we build our stadium, as we sort of crescendo, as opposed to whatever the opposite of crescendo is, which nobody ever says.
Decrescendo.
Is it just decrescendo?
Decrescendo.
Okay. All right. Well,
I couldn't say that.
yeah. There you go.
The difference is that Miami has, it seems, added fringe players first. If you look at their roster, there are maybe 2 or 3 starters there, depending on what Lee Wynn's role is. Right? I think Pellegrini's definitely going to start at left wing. I think Ben Sweat is probably their starter at left back. The rest of it really does look like depth pieces. Maybe Victor Ulloa becomes a starter as, if they're playing a double pivot. Whereas Nashville went like the complete other direction. They have built their core first. Dax McCarty is a starter. Anibal Godoy is a starter. Ani Mukhtar, Randall Leal, probably David Akam. They're all starters. I think Jalil Anababa is there as a starter. Daniel Lovitz is certainly a starter. Maybe Joe Willis. Maybe they go out and get Luis Robles instead. Dax is a good buddy. But like they have 8 or 9 starters, I think, locked in. And I think the goal with Nashville is to just be competent for the first half of the season. And then if you show that like we're more than competent, actually, we're fighting for, top 5 spot, maybe even a home game in the playoffs, then you could go to the front office and say, give us what we need. Give us this one more piece. Let's go out and spend on a big DP. But it's 2 vastly different ways of building rosters, and I think they both have merit, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see, like Miami's probably going to have more talent from the off, but you can't knock on the field know-how. You can't knock in the league know-how, and Nashville actually has a ton of it.
I hope that they're going to add more than this as far as starters go. I hope that David Akam is not just being slotted in. I mean, there's a lot of TAM to be spent in those places. There's 2 more DP slots, so I hope Mike
They also
Jacobs...
need center backs.
Agreed.
So.
Well, there is a rumor, Miguel Nazarit from Colombia, from Once Caldas. He's 22. There's a rumor around that one that you assume would be a TAM player. I hope they do spend more and up the amount of talent on the roster. They have a good start. Abu Dunladi, a damaged asset taken in this one.
Yeah.
You guys, I still have all my Abu Dunladi stuff.
I'm sure you do. Zarek Valentin taken, traded for Joe Willis, as you said, to Houston. Jalil Anibaba, he's in. And, of course, Sporting Kansas City acquired him in the aftermath of the 2014 expansion draft. Brandon Vasquez acquired, flipped to Cincinnati for $150 to $200 in allocation money. Then Jimmy Medranda from Kansas City, as well as Adrian Zendejas, who they picked up for $175K. Those deals, to me, are pretty locked in together. Susannah, you were there. Oh, Daniel Lovitz, you mentioned him, but they got him from Montreal Impact as well. We know U.S. national team fans love Danny. How did it feel? Because I think there have been some doubts, not just about Nashville, but about both these teams as to like where the fan bases stand, how ready are they?
Okay.
Are they going to come in and just blow it up? How did it feel in Nashville? It looked great.
So, to Doyle's point, what they actually do on the field is still going to be a question. I actually really like what they've done, the way they've assembled the team, especially getting some of these veteran guys like Dax McCarty. I think that's actually really, really important in building your roster. And so I like that they have these pieces in place because I do think it's important. We look at like what happened with Cincinnati last year, and you were like, where was that? So I like that. What I can tell you about Nashville, and especially what they from an optics standpoint of what they're doing, everything is going to be cool. Like the expansion draft at a bar, at Blake Shelton's bar on Broadway in Nashville. They want this to be a destination. They are really, really pushing the signage all over the city, massive billboards promoting season tickets for Nashville SC. This place was packed, you guys. I mean, like it was shoulder to shoulder packed. The fans turned out. They had an incredible turnout. I think
they had some influencers as well. They had Mookie Henry. Mookie Henry was there, right?
Oh Lord. But they get you can get the big name guys.
That was a very deep cut expansion draft.
Wow, yeah.
You know what
if you guys were watching, then you know.
You know what the most nerve-wracking part of watching that draft was? The last pick.
The fan.
The fan came up. And
she took my mic.
She took the mic from you.
So I
was edging my seat, Suze.
I was like, whoa, all right. I just kind of let her roll with it because I was like, well, because they had actually told me, they were like,
don't ever give up your...
They were like, the fans, she's really nervous. And I was like, okay, so I kind of like was chatting with her beforehand.
Nervous.
Yeah, and then she like goes and just grabs like,
yeah.
all right, what you do you, girl. Like, that's fine. Just make sure you give that thing back to me. But Nashville's going to be fun. The city is 100% behind this team.
I'm glad to hear
the supporters are ready. It's going to be, regardless of how they do on the field, we shall see. It's going to be a good time. Everything is going to be cool. I heard rumors about, guys that they're trying to get to like come perform national anthems, and it's Music City. And so there's just like, there's this element of cool. Nashville is really trying to make its stamp as on the league as like, this is Nashville. Like, this is our brand.
Hologram
cool.
Johnny Cash.
Dolly Parton.
She doesn't have to be a hologram.
Yeah, wow.
She could do it for real.
Life.
Let's just, can we?
You're going to the game. Like, whenever Dolly is singing the national anthem, you're going to Nashville.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Have you ever been to Dolly World?
No, it's
I've
my
never been to
dream.
Dolly World.
Every time I go to Tennessee, I'm like,
Yeah, we'll send hologram Susannah Collins to that.
Make that happen. But Nashville's going to be fun, you guys.
I'm into that.
It's going to be really fun.
I'm here for that. I'm glad. Colorado Rapids were fun the second half of last year. Seems like they're getting more fun. Made 2 huge trades this week for a pair of young center backs. Definitely funner. Lalas Abubakar from the Crew, which they had on loan, and we were waiting for the price, and it landed basically where I thought it would, which is $400K in GAM and an international roster spot. Go to the Crew. Lalas gets to stay with the Rapids. And then this was the one that sort of had our eyes go wide open, like, are you what? Really? Auston Trusty, 21-year-old left-footed homegrown center back from the Union on the move.
Yeah, to Europe for $12 million.
No.
That's what everyone told me like 5 months ago.
No.
Left-footed center backs, you can't find them.
Well, guess what? The Rapids found one for $600K in allocation money split between GAM and TAM, up to maybe $750, depending on some of the performance incentives there. So
How
2
much
young center backs.
allocation money did Borussia Mönchengladbach offer?
I don't know. I don't know. But you know what? It occurs to me that this is basically the amount that Minnesota United paid for Iko Para.
Yeah, Iko Para was a
Defender of the Year. That's a good point.
veteran.
Maybe these guys will be as well.
Yeah.
Let's ask Port Smith. We'll get your take on it in a second. He is the executive vice president and GM of the Rapids. He is on the line now. It's an AT&T call to the field. Pork, what's up?
Yeah, thanks. Great to be with you guys. Very exciting week for us. I think everybody saw last year what Lalas was able to bring to the group and bring to the team. So we were excited. He was certainly our number one priority going into the off-season. We wanted to get that wrapped up as quickly as possible. It took a little bit longer than maybe I would have liked, but in the end, we got the job done and got him back on board. He's super excited. I think he galvanized that back line last year and really helped us have a very successful kind of 5-month run and end the season positively. So that was big for us. Auston is somebody that we've been tracking for a long time, and I think this is the way this league goes at times. We had the same thing with Jonathan Lewis, really. We tried to get them much, much earlier than we eventually did. We always told their clubs, look, if you ever do decide that you want to move them, make sure to pick up the phone to us. And, we've always wanted to put ourselves in a position where we're able to execute quickly when young, talented Americans with bright futures and high upside become available. And, that's what we were able to do here. I think Auston and Lalas complement each other very well. I think they'll be a very talented, certainly a very athletic back line. And I think when you look at them, you look at Courtney Ford, who we're expecting to come back from injury. You look at Keegan Rosenberry, Sam Vines. It's a very athletic group in full. So we're quite excited about it.
So one of the things we talk about oftentimes when it comes to playoff teams is the mix on a back line, and we've kind of trended toward or thought the conventional wisdom was that maybe not both young guys, two young guys. Is there any sort of, I don't know if overcorrection is the word, but in Tommy Smith and Danny Wilson, you're on the older end. Are you have any concern about the youth of this group?
No, not really. I think what you want to have in any group is good balance. And look, we're not finished. It's the middle of November, so there's more additions to come to this group, and we certainly will look to bring in some experience. But, I think when you've got a coach like Robin Fraser, who, let's face it, played the centre-back role as well as anybody did in this league, he's going to be there to kind of guide these guys and help develop them and help them reach their full potential. But we're very excited about the group. They've both played, quite a few games, despite being young. Auston in particular, at 21, to already have 56 games in this league. That's good experience in there. Lalas, I think, proved last year that he's right up there with the best in the division or in the league. And I think, as I said, there's still more to come. So we're going to make sure we've got a good balanced group and a nice mix between the young players that are up and coming and some more experienced pros that have had success.
You have a quote you can give us from Robin? One of the best defenders, as you said, in league history, has developed some really good ones. What's he thinking right now?
He's excited. I mean, I've spent the last 8 days with Robin down in Argentina. We've been scouting down there, and as these transactions were coming, closer and closer to being finalised, he was every bit as excited as we were. We've talked about what we want to do with this club and where we want this team to go. And this was a crucial part of it. I think every great team is going to have a strong foundation at the back. Obviously, Robin, as I said, did it better than anyone in this league. So he was very excited to get these two players in, and he certainly feels that they can be the backbone of the team and that he can continue to work with them so that they reach their full potential.
So we're not going to ignore the fact that you just mentioned you've been in Argentina for 8 days with Robin Fraser. What's in Argentina?
Meat.
Yeah,
red meat.
Besides the red wine pouring, has there been any focus down there?
There's been some very nice red wine, some good steak, and some good young players to watch. So it's been a great trip. Obviously, it's my first off season with Robin, and I think that's been wonderful. We were down there. Frantel, our assistant GM, was down as well, and it was a great opportunity for us to watch some of our key targets as we go into this off season. And also, to really talk in a lot of detail over that period of time about what we want to do and how we're going to build this group, not just for next season, but for ultimately sustainable success, which I think this club has not had. And that's something that we're absolutely determined to bring. And it was a very good trip, an interesting trip, a productive trip. Mm-hmm. We're making progress on what we hope are some key areas for us.
Can you give us player profile in terms of positioning, what to look at, and maybe in terms of expenditure?
Nobody goes to Argentina for defenders, David.
It's an interesting market down there, there's no doubt. And I think from our perspective, we've been pretty open about this. I think we've been building now for 2 years toward the 2020 season when we kind of freed up the previous DPs that were on the books. We want to continue to add to our attacking core. I think as a group, we feel like an attacking midfielder is something that we're missing and something that we need to bring in. And also, a winger. I think we found great success last year with the attacking play out wide. Sam Nicholson, Jonathan Lewis, Andre Shinoshiku played out there. Even Diego Rubio played some games out there. But we want to be a team that plays with speed. We want to be a team that plays with urgency and intensity and boldness. And I think there's players, all around the world, not just in Argentina, that will fit that profile. And that's the most important thing for us. I mean, we were down there for 8 days. We're over in Europe right now. So we have more games this weekend. So ultimately, it's about finding the right players that are going to complement the group that we have and bring in a group that we feel confident Robin can then take and turn into this playoff team that we want to be.
So let's get back to the Trusty and Lalas Abubakar trades. This kind of is in keeping with what you guys did last window in getting guys like Jonathan Lewis in, and before that, getting Kellen Acosta, kind of honestly distressed assets, guys who have a clear upside, but maybe not a clear path to playing time at their current team. Do you feel like maybe this is a market inefficiency that you've kind of identified within MLS? And is this sort of who the Rapids are at this moment, like finding these maybe hidden gems and improving them is part of honestly the team's ethos?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely fair to say. I mean, we've been very open about wanting to be, a younger team and wanting to be a team, as I said, that plays with that intensity, with that urgency and boldness. And we do feel like we can bring players on and continue to develop them and help them reach their potential. It's tough. If you look at somebody like Jonathan Lewis, it was difficult for him to break into that team. And, oftentimes a change of scenery, a fresh start, a couple of more starts, in fact, can really help players develop. And for us, it's about identifying the right player and then the right character. And I think in players like Lewis and players like Trusty and players like Lalas, who weren't getting as many games, at their previous clubs, but were able to come in, immediately fit into the group and the overall dynamic that we're trying to build, the culture that we're trying to build, and then excel and have some really top moments. That's very exciting for us. We've not just seen it, though, in terms of the players that we've traded for. We're also seeing it in the players that we're developing in our own academy. The likes of Sam Vines, who's been away at the U23s, Cole Bassett, who's had a terrific year and broke into the under-20 national team. He's over at Arsenal at the moment, training there. And also, Sebastian Anderson, being at the under-17 World Cup. I think there's great credit to our academy coaches and staff there as well in terms of the work that they've done over the last 3 years to really help build this up into, put us in a position where we can bring talent through from inside our club and then look outside to try and identify targets that we feel can come in, fit in and grow.
A big week for the Rapids. At least $1 million in allocation spent on 2 young center backs, maybe more than that, depending on performance. Padraig, congratulations on landing those guys. Good luck in, I heard, Europe now. So, we'll keep close attention on what happens with those DP spots and maybe some TAM money, all right?
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
In Europe is Padraig, and from Argentina he comes. So, those DP slots, little TAM money that they got freed up. Where's that going to be spent? That's a TBD, but we now know sort of that main 3 center back rotation. And he did say probably a veteran presence coming in as well, Doyle. What do you think about these moves for the Rapids? You kind of pushed on it. They are going and picking up distressed assets, but almost all of those are very young.
Yeah, it almost does feel like an overcorrection, and I think you touched on this when talking to Padraig, because they spent so much on veterans from Great Britain back a couple of years ago, and that didn't work out. But Lalas did, and then now suddenly the rotation is 3 kind of young guys. I don't want to say unproven, because I think Abubakar in particular proved that he can be a very good center back in this league, and we know Trusty. But like it was one thing, and now it's 180 degrees from that. So that's one thing in my head. The other thing in my head is, like, the Rapids are going to be like the hot pick, the hot, like, dark horse under the radar team coming into 2020 because of what they did the last 2/3 of last season. But that's no guarantee. They kind of snuck up on teams. They did really well with home field advantage. Their set piece production, unsustainable year over year. They are not going to be that good on set pieces again.
Say that to Kai Kamara's face.
I will say that to Kai Kamara's face.
Say it to his face.
Well, I guess you're pretty tall. I was going to say more to his chest. You're a tall guy.
Yeah. But I
6
mean,
foot. I'll just throw a 6 out there.
The point is, like, this is where the impact were last year. Because if you remember the last 2/3 of the 2018 season, they were on like a 60, 65 point pace. That did not obviously happen in 2019. So it's more than just throwing these guys out there. Robin Fraser's got to get them ready to go from game one, because even though I like their talent and I think they're going to get better, it's no guarantee.
Sometimes these
things
slip away. But I am extremely excited. It's the MLS that I want to watch and care about when young center backs with a lot of promise go to a head coach like Robin Fraser. Yeah. So I am so excited to see what happens with Trusty, with Lalas, with Courtney Ford in particular as well, because he's been out for so long and was so good at times. So congratulations to the Rapids, and their fans, I'm sure, are very happy about these moves as well. You mentioned Montreal. They did trade Daniel Levitz, and then they traded for Romel Kyoto, Victor Cabrera, and $100K in game to Houston for him. Rumor also that Montreal want Kyle Larin for somewhere between $2 and $3 million from Belgium. Paul Tenorio says Larin wants to stay in Belgium. And Nacho Piatti's coming back. They exercised his option, so that's a big chunk of change going to my guy Nacho. So Thierry Henry's era in Quebec.
Romel
has begun.
Kyoto is super talented. He does not have a great reputation as a practice player. I'm curious to see how he and TT are going to get along.
I think between Kyoto and Piatti, with Piatti's injury history, you're getting like a good 17 games out of those two combined.
Well,
and that's 16 from Piatti and 1 from
Ouch. Ouch. Can I ask you, Dave, about Luis Robles and BWP? And you mentioned this, Susan. It's a great call because Dax McCarty literally is tweeting The Rock summoning those two guys to Nashville. It's the end of an era. Mm-hmm. BWP, the best goal scorer in Red Bulls history and maybe MLS history, depending on your measurements there. Luis Robles, a legend, the captain. They are not afraid, are the Red Bulls, to move on from stalwarts, to move on from the faces of their club. What does this mean? What clubs should we look at as to where these might go? But most importantly, Luis Robles and BWP out of the club, out of New York, you assume?
Yeah, the greatest period for New York Red Bulls in their history. And I think BWP was a great example of, having belief in a guy, bringing him in, and then telling him he can be better than what he ever was and giving him a platform to do it and actually giving him a platform to do it. Because often you hear teams say that to players, we believe in you, blah, 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 and not giving them the opportunity. And I think BWP, he really took to what Jesse Marsch was building, which was what was huge in Ali Curtis and then eventually Chris Armas as well. It was different. It wasn't what he'd ever played before. And it wasn't actually probably something you'd assume, hey, BWP, you're going to be a great high press forward. But he took to it perfectly, and he worked hard, and everything you talk about. I mean, I obviously cover their USL team. He goes to like 70% of those games. Like, he loves the sport. Yeah. He loves to talk to young players. He brought his brother to New Jersey to play with him. Sean wants to be a coach. They both are invested in the future of the sport in this country. So he was everything you'd want from someone in your club. And I thought, obviously, it didn't end well with Dax and Sasha. I think that it's nice that this one didn't end that way, messy and unexpected and pushed out in any way. Like, I think they treated it right. On the flip side, Luis Robles, a little surprising. He still can perform in Major League Soccer. For them, Ryan Mira's a legitimate MLS goalkeeper, and they've been trying to figure out a way to get him time and keep him on their team for years. And I think it reached the point where we either have to trade him or start him. We can't keep trying to play with this. They keep protecting him in expansion drafts, and they've lost other players that they like because of that. So at this point, you had to give him his shot. And for Robles, I think he'll go somewhere and be good. But goalkeeping in Major League Soccer, you can't pay a premium and fill multiple spots with big money goalkeepers. And I think he'll be good for someone else, but it shouldn't tarnish at all what he did for Red Bulls. The biggest thing I remember is him going to the meeting with Ali Curtis after he fired Pecky.
Yeah.
Going to the town hall and fans being like, you're forced to be here. And he said, no, I asked to be here. He wanted to be the representation, the face of that club. And I thought he did it perfectly. There's not a nicer person you'll meet. There's not a person who we one time walked in front of his procession when he was coming out to play the Galaxy with the team. And he came over and joked with us after and was like nice to us, even when he had a big game to play. Like, he always has time for everyone. So they're two great parts of their club.
Do you think that either or both would fit in Nashville, given what Dax tweeted?
Yeah. Robles is a starter in Major League Soccer, so he fits everywhere. Anyone that needs a goalkeeper, he fits with. For BWP, we were talking about it a little bit before. I think it's tough because of what you have to pay him because of his career and the production you're potentially going to get, and also the fact that there's no sell-on later and there's no trade-on for him. Whatever you're paying for is exactly what you're going to get, and that's it. For Nashville, yeah, I could see the idea of, can we get 12 to 14 good performances out of him and have him fill in with Abu Danladi and whatever else they do up top, and Daniel Rios, who they have on the books.
And it needs to be said, Daniel Rios in USL,
he's best 11,
scored at a much higher rate than Brian White did, much higher rate than Christian Ramirez did in the old NAS.
Cameron Lancaster's the same way. People haven't talked about him, but he absolutely crushed it for Louisville City 2 years ago and then was hurt a lot this year.
Well, Rios has things that will translate, which is he's fast and big.
Right.
You can't change that. It doesn't matter what level you play at. Lancaster, I think, might struggle a little. He's undersized. He
doesn't create separation.
Yeah, exactly. He has to be smarter than everyone and use his angles, whatever. Rios might be competitive. So I could understand you bringing a vet, a guy you want in training, all those things. But it worked for Minnesota this year, but from a defensive side. For BWP, how many goals is he going to score for you?
Well, It's a good question, right? Because at times this past year, he looked done.
Yeah.
He did not look like he had anything left in the tank. So it's a risk to sign him. But I actually think in terms of game theory, it's more of a risk for Nashville to say, we got to go out and get a DP number 9. Because if you do that, you have to play that guy. And then you never find out if Rios can actually be a 15-goal striker in this league, like Ramirez is, and like White seems to be on track for. And again, Rios was much better at that level than either of those two guys who are starters in MLS.
Where do you want to see those people go? Do you have any feelings, Suze?
I mean,
when you emotionally assess this situation as I am doing right now, because that's what you do when, for me personally, when I think about BWP.
Yeah.
He's not just like I don't care about BWP. I do care about BWP. What he's done in this league, what he's contributed, what he became.
BWP.
I want him to succeed.
Love
it was
Luis
sad
Robles.
this year when he didn't.
Love both these guys. Because Gus kind of mentioned it, the way Dax's exit at Red Bulls was not the greatest, and I think for Dax, because I know he would love to have his buddies back with him, get the crew back together. I think it would be great, It's a little like Red Bulls 2.0 down in Music City.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's do it.
One for Robles, and I think he's a starter in Major League Soccer still, but it would be cool to see him go back to Arizona, play for Phoenix, be like their DP big name as they try and push for Major League Soccer, and maybe even one day get into MLS.
I kind of feel like he's a guy that you're going to see with an executive title next to him at some point. So maybe that's that sort of opportunity for Luis Robles.
At Adidas.
Some other free agents as well here. Sesanovic is a free agent, left back. We'll see if he does move on, but Kansas City put out the quote and everything that said, hey, we're moving on. Seth in the past has basically refused to go places in the expansion draft because he wanted to be in Kansas City. He is born and bred. We'll see if he
Didn't he
goes elsewhere.
retire from the Revs till they traded him?
No. He was with Kansas City. Montreal was threatening to take him. He said, I'll retire if you do. And this was all the way back in
I thought he was with the Revs, though.
No, he was with the Revs, then he went on trial to RSL. I know too much about this.
Yeah, that's
Then
fair.
he came to Kansas City on a free. Anyway, Benny Feilhaber is also a free agent as well. Will not be back in Kansas City, who look like they really want to get younger. Those Lucas Cavallini rumors don't go away. $6 to $8 million is what Puebla says that they want. And let's quickly kind of sum some other news up before we get to something that Doyle and I were bantering about during the U.S. game. Some news for NYCFC. Claudio Reyna, he's moving to Auston to take the sporting director job there. David Lee gets a promotion from technical director. A lot of people have a ton of respect for David Lee. It was kind of
super
assumed
well regarded
that he would get a job like this. If it wasn't in New York, it would be somewhere else. Eventually, he now has that job. LA Galaxy extended the Christian Pavone loan. He is now a DP. Sebastian Lletget also signed a TAM deal, an extension there. The Timbers got a center back out of Croatia from the same club as Eber. So they have a lot of center backs now. That's a TAM signing. And there's some other stuff going here. Antuna will not return to LA. Fiorentina reportedly offered $3 to $4 million for Gianluca Busio, but Sporting KC wants 10. Should probably lower that ask.
Got to meet in the middle on that one, I think.
So let's schedule the interview with Padraig Smith for when they trade for Gianluca Busio for November 21st, 2022.
Make sure we do that. Aaron Long reportedly Southampton was offered the chance to sign Aaron Long. I don't know what that even means. Mario Mandzukic, maybe on his way to MLS. Jack Wilshere says he might be down.
Mario Mandzukic?
We're not doing this again.
Sorry.
We're definitely
Mario.
No, we're not doing this again. Did I write down his false one?
No.
Did you just what?
You said the correct one. I said the wrong one.
Okay, thank God. So here's what we talked about in the middle of the U.S.'s 4-0 win against Canada. Doyle claims, and I want you two's opinion on this because I've already given mine. Mm-hmm. Doyle claims that had Josh Sargent signed as a homegrown with Sporting Kansas City, that in 2019 he would have scored 20 to 25 goals. I said I didn't think that would be the case, that 15 would have been a very good return.
Yeah, you said 0% chance.
I said 0% chance. To 20 to 25. Yes, you're right. I slow played that a little bit, but you're right. I said 0% chance, and I think that was at the point of the night where we were yelling at each other. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Josh Sargent, 20 to 25 goals in MLS in 2019.
10 to 12.
10 to 12.
Yeah.
I think Wiebe's safe in 10 to 15.
10 to 15?
Yeah.
So you guys both think that Jossie Zardes is better than Josh Sargent? That's what I just heard.
No.
Wait a minute. Jossie scored 19 goals in this league 2 years ago. Jossie scored,
That's
I think,
15
14
more goals than Josh Sargent's
Do you
ever
think
scored
Josh
as a
Sargent would
professional?
start 31 games?
Yeah, that's where
I
I'm
love
at.
Josh Sargent.
Do you
I
think that
he's a
Peter
great player.
Vermees would start him?
That's exactly
every single game?
There's no way.
Well, I think
I
part
think
of
he
this,
would've, yeah.
part of this deal
Josh
was
Sargent's really good.
I don't disagree with that, and I wish he was a homegrown for the Sporting KC, but I don't think he's locked down playing every single minute of the season at his age with his experience, especially in a group.
Peter Vermees
in
hardly
Sporting
plays
KC.
Gianluca.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
And Gianluca Busio is 3 years younger than Josh Sargent.
True.
And nowhere near as good.
don't.
Gianluca Busio just played 1,000 minutes as a 16, 17-year-old. We're talking about Josh Sargent as a 19-year-old.
yeah, but
Dude
Josh
is getting minutes. He got 1,000 minutes. He's going to get 1,000 minutes in the Bundesliga as a 19-year-old. And he scored, I think, so far, he scored, I'm going to say 6 total Bundesliga goals in 2019 while playing not at a center forward.
Yeah.
I think there is every chance that Josh Sargent would have scored 20 goals if he had signed with Sporting Kansas City and played as a number 9 for them this year.
Well, he would have played left back half the season, and he probably would not have played 30. He probably would not have started 30 games. We don't see any young player really get that opportunity.
That's
Aronson
yeah.
maybe the one this year. Like, there is a problem in Major League Soccer probably where if he came and was capable and played well, he probably wouldn't have gotten the starts that a veteran player in the same position would get in Major League Soccer. That's just a reality. On top of that, it's a different role being a guy coming off the wing with other talent around you trying to, finish at the far post, get on the end of crosses, rather than being the point of the attack for Sporting KC.
Was Christian Nemeth the point of the attack?
No, but
Was
you
there
think if Christian Nemeth was on the roster, that any time Sargent faltered, Peter wouldn't have given Christian Nemeth another shot?
I mean, it's a fair
Sargent's
argument
never
there.
getting off Hurtado Island.
I think that if Sargent had stayed, had signed with Sporting KC and had, he would have signed in 2017,
Yeah.
right? And then I think he would have gotten 1,000 or maybe even more minutes in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have been the locked-in starter in 2019. And given that Sporting Kansas City's attack was actually very good, they just couldn't freaking finish. I think he was a 20-goal scorer this year.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, like he's better than Jeremy Ebobisse. Jeremy Ebobisse scored
100%.
13 goals while playing most of the season as a winger for an inferior attack. If Ebobisse can score 13 goals in that circumstance, I don't think there's any reason to think that. Again, Jossie Zardes scored 19 goals in this league last year, 2 years ago now.
Josh Sargent scores more goals at the international level. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that.
In
I'm
terms
like
of goals
above.
per minute, Sargent is ahead of
3 of the 5
Jossie.
are against Cuba.
I mean, it's not like Jossie
Wow.
has scored against the monsters out there.
That's fair.
Yeah, but Josh
That's
scores
fair.
off his face. He can
Yes.
score in so many ways.
In every single way.
He scores when he wants.
Jossie's goals per 90 when he plays as a center forward for the U.S. national team is actually historically pretty good. Like, people look at his total caps. Remember, he got most of those as a midfielder. When he plays as a center forward, his goals per 90, it's higher than our good friend Charlie Davies. It's higher than Brian
Charlie.
Chang. It's higher than Eddie Johnson. It's higher than Taylor Twellman. It's higher than Connor Casey. It's higher than, just go back through I think Herc might have him beat a little bit. And obviously, Josie does. Oh, it's higher than Brian McBride. Jossie's goals per 90 as a center forward for the U.S. national team is higher than Brian McBride's was.
This took quite a turn, and I am
Wow.
absolutely here for it. By the way, Josh Sargent, who I think is a great player, and
Love
I would love
Josh
to see
Sargent.
him get more time
Love
for the
him.
U.S. national team, only has 2 goals in the Bundesliga this year. So I don't know where you got the 6 number.
No, 2 in 2019 total.
Oh, okay.
Or in 2019 total, I think because he had 3 in the first half of the year.
He's talking about last season and this season.
Oh, I think he had
calendar
2
year.
last year. as well.
Calendar.
2, but then he had 1 in
Maybe in
cup
the cup.
play.
Maybe,
I think he
okay.
had 1 in each
Oh,
side.
okay. So you're combining it all? Okay.
Yeah.
Another
He's
correction.
like Romario.
Another correction from Anders. I said Canada, not Cuba, and it was Cuba that the U.S. beat 4-0. Okay, so let's get into some mail here. How about this one from DJ Edwards? What ideas do you guys have for the league's 25th anniversary? How about instead of that, we just talk about what we could do to celebrate next year as the Major League Soccer turns 25. I was throwing around the idea of a Legends heads-up game every Thursday for Throwback Thursday. How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, I like that.
Or like a TBT where you get to come in and do like a school book report where you're like, I was a huge fan of, Trent Hurtado, or or like Clint Mathis. People that you had that one the other day where people may not know how much of a stud he was at times in MLS and then also in the Bundesliga for a period. He's my guy. What do you think? How should we celebrate? How do you want to celebrate?
I like all of those.
Yeah, no, those are fun.
No, well, this didn't.
I think there should be. I think there should be like an MLS Hall of Fame. Because it seems clear at this point that voting for U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame is absolutely broken. And there are guys who are meaningful within the realm of this league, and frankly, I think within the realm of what's happened in soccer in the U.S. and Canada.
Like Charlie Joseph.
Who aren't going to get honored for the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame. I think there should be an MLS Hall of Fame. I think that would be a great way to
I like that.
celebrate first 25.
First guy in the door, Marvin Chavez.
Why?
I know,
Can you just pick a name out of the blue?
He was fun to watch.
Who would be? I mean,
Charlie Joseph is this guy was a stud in MLS at every position. I understand they didn't win the final game, but he went to 4 straight MLS Cups. He won an Interliga. He is, to me, he's a best 11 MLS player, and he doesn't get discussed enough.
He'll come second after Branko Boskovic.
Nice.
I'm sorry, I just all these throwback DC references. Last one here, Coach Steve wants to know what our favorite things to do in the offseason are, since, the soccer's over.
Sorry, the soccer's not over.
Yeah. Well, MLS is over.
Never ends.
What's your offseason look like, Suze?
A whole lot of wine. Oh, yeah.
Couple carafes of wine.
Yeah, getting cozy on that couch, just
Do we miss
Melbeck?
Do we miss MLS right now, or are we kind of like in the point of life where
I haven't left it. I've still
silly season is happening.
Yeah,
I mean the actual games, because obviously we spend two hours a week sitting here talking.
I stepped off a plane and broadcast 13 Nations League games in 4 days. So the games. Yeah, the games are still alive.
I'm fine right now. I think in a couple weeks I'm going to be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Be fun.
I think it might take me more than a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think once the calendar hits 2020.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't here. Did you shout out Real Monarchs for winning?
We did.
USL Championship?
Yeah, and Hamilton Olave, who's now the full-time head coach of the Real Monarchs. We do have the voice of
Although
the
I've
Nations
heard
League
funny
here.
stories about Hamilton Olave that he would show up to a game. Someone was telling me who was the player they were playing against. I think it was Brian McBride when he was with the Fire, and they showed up to the game and they were like, Brian McBride's starting today. And he's like, who's that? And they were like, he didn't want to know. He didn't care what was on the other side of the field. He was like, I'm bigger, faster, stronger than that guy. I'm going to beat him to every ball. It doesn't matter what his name is, but apparently he's a good coach.
Can you give us, before we go, and Anders is telling me in my ear right now that we have to get out of here, just the best thing that happened in the Nations League that people might have missed? Because the U.S. is on, by the way, to the semifinals. You probably knew that by now, but they take on Honduras in June, and Mexico and Costa Rica on the other side. But Dave was covering the real sabor.
Yeah. I'll give you 2. One, Bahamas, which just suffered under Hurricane Dorian, and you can donate at UNICEF to help rebuild. They won their group in Group C, so they will be promoted to League B. They will also go into a Gold Cup qualifier. And the second one, Montserrat, a nation or an island of 5,000 people population-wise in the Caribbean. There was a volcano in 1995. Almost the entire island had to evacuate. They didn't win an international game from 1995 to 2012, and they finished second place in their League B group, and they will go to a Gold Cup playoff match against a team from League C and then potentially a team from League A. So that was pretty amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Love me some Nations League. That's it from
awesome.
us. Big thanks to Continental for letting us sit around this table and BS about soccer twice a week. Let us know what you think about anything we talked about. We will, just a programming note for you, we will not have a show on the Thursday of Thanksgiving.
American Thanksgiving.
Yes.
American Thanksgiving.
Correct. We've already talked about Canadian Thanksgiving on
I'll
this
make
show.
sure.
People know. People know we respect.
Goodbye.
Doyle,
Folks,
when's Canadian Thanksgiving?
Indigenous Peoples Day. Same day as an Indigenous Peoples Day here in America.
Do you have a date?
I think it's the first Monday or the second Monday in October.
Okay.
We'll
I just
see.
want to make sure.
Sounds right.
Keep you on your heels.
We'll see you on Monday, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
We're great guys, but no one seems to notice. Joseph's charm and winning smile failed to slay them in the eyes.
If you're not recording
but
right
their
now,
father
I'm
couldn't
gonna hurt
see
you.
the danger. He could not imagine any danger. He just saw in Joseph all his dreams come true.
Nice.
Nice, guys.